everyone. Happy Thursday. We're back with AEC Today Reports, and this is kind of a special episode. You know, we've been trying to interview different people within our constituency about how they're managing COVID, some of the ministries that are taking place. But then there's life that happens during COVID, and we want to talk to some very special people. So this is a special edition of AEC Today Reports. I'm so excited about it. Anyone who knows about me knows that I love a great love story. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So after this quick break, we'll be right back with our special.
Nobody likes an awkward silence, but you can actually use it for something good.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to AEC Today Reports. And I'm so happy that this evening we have a very special edition of AEC Today Reports. We're talking about a COVID wedding. So many of us have had to make adjustments during this time, but can you imagine trying to get married during the times of COVID? Well, we're here to talk to one special couple who managed all that COVID threw at them and managed to have a very beautiful wedding. And we want to introduce this couple to you right now. Here they are. Hi, guys.
Hi.
This is Alker and Ruth, Antoine, and we're so happy to have them with us. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Doing well.
Thank you.
All right.
How are you?
Awesome. Now I kind of share that you all went through a COVID wedding. So I'm going to start off by saying congratulations, and then we'll work our way back. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. You did it. Yes, you did. Now, before we talk about the actual wedding, you know, we want our viewers to kind of understand a little bit about your story. So, of course, we want to know, how did you guys meet?
How did we meet? We met on the precious grounds of Pine Forge.
AEC. All right.
According to Alker, we met like years back at a secretary's training or something, clerk's training.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I remember just meeting, but he acted like it was a whole thing, and it wasn't at all.
In my mind, like, we had a whole conversation, and it was in my head, I obviously, but we met once before at a clerk's training on Allegheny East conference. I think it was in the new Cheatham building.
It was like in the infancy.
So you do remember?
I remember seeing you, and we all said, "My name is this person. My name is this. I'm from this church." But
everybody was introducing themselves, right?
Yeah, that's what I remember.
One-on-one.
All right.
Well, I'd love to hear this, though. You know, AEC training, bringing couples together. Okay.
It did. But our official meetup, on my point of view, from my lenses, I was the Federation secretary the year he got elected. I was the 4 years prior. And I remember he got elected as the media and technology member. Mm-hmm. And so we all had to meet at the end. It was a treat. It was a treat that year. So at the end, we all met as the new, incoming class, would you say? And so that's when that's when we officially met. And then I was a secretary, so I had a lot of coordinating to do, getting everyone's numbers together, getting group chats going and stuff like that. And that's how our friendship began, was through that, because he's very much a great communicator. And so if I reach out to him, he's very responsive. He's like, yep, I can do that, I can do this. And so that is the beginning of me knowing this man here.
So what were your first impressions of each other?
First impressions.
I perceived Ruth as someone who is very meticulous, goal-oriented, extremely busy, and she ain't got no time for nobody, so I have no business talking to her at all. I too was busy, but she just was always doing something related to ministry. That was my initial impression of her, that something about her spirit told me that she was somebody that God highly favored. That was always at the forefront of my perception of her.
Wow.
And so I didn't know exactly what I wanted in my life at the time. And so I didn't feel like I had anything to offer her. And so I just stayed in my lane and didn't interrupt her at all. And yeah, that was that.
First impression. Yeah. My first impression of Alker, he was very reserved. He's I definitely thought he was an older person, not that much like an old man, but he carries himself in a very reserved way. Like very few people have access to his energy and to his time. And so I found him very reserved. But when I did speak to him, that was quite opposite. He's very open. He was very kind. He's very gracious in the way that he's like, yeah, he was always being helpful. And so I later learned why. But at the time, I figured he was just very kind and very helpful. And so that's the disposition I saw. This was a very serious person. He was about his time. Time was money to him. And so he didn't spend it any kind of way. And so I thought he was just a really great addition to our team, because even though he was that busy person, he always made time for the Federation, and we have a big staff. And so, managing them, kind of like the communications can get difficult when people aren't responsive and everyone's busy. And, as a Federation, it's not a paid position. We're all doing this ministry out of just our love for the youth. And so sometimes it's difficult to communicate with people, but he was very responsive. And I just found that to be, to be very noble of him as a busy person. You committed to something and you saw it through. I found that.
It seems like you guys had that in common. You were attracted to each other's work ethic as it related to the Haitian Youth Federation. You both, even though you had different eyes, were totally dedicated, and that kind of brought you guys together. So with that being said, when did the interest start to develop? Who made the first move or indicated that there was something beyond just a simple ministry partnership going on here?
Right.
So at some point in time, as I'm attending the Haitian Youth Federation meetings and getting acclimated with everyone, I started to really notice her. Really, really notice her when she spoke. Something about her voice, the tone of her voice, and how she speaks so well. She articulates herself very well. And I remember vividly, she was conversing with a fellow colleague. The conversation was something along the lines of being equally yoked. And I was not too far away from her at the table as she's speaking. And then it's like the room it's like time froze, and I was just listening to what she was saying. And I was just kind of taken back a bit, and very impressed by, I was already impressed by her devotion and dedication to ministry, but hearing her speak for some reason just made me find a new kind of energy that I hadn't seen in quite some time for someone in our community that was around my age, who also just wanted to, as imperfect as we may be, just wanted to try to do right by God as much as possible. And so above all, as much as we love to work hard, we both have a certain affinity for ministry. And listening to her speak, I don't know, I just became really attracted to her.
And from there, we already had each other's numbers, of course, from being in the together. And so I think the spark, I would say, for me anyway, started when we had a conversation. I was at work one day and I had texted him the night before, and I was like, I was really excited that he came on board, because everyone was like, he's such a great media guru. And we're like, awesome. So I really would like us to get our social media platforms popping. And so I spoke to him and I told him that can I set up a meeting with you to talk to see what do you need from me? How can I help you to get that started? And we had that meeting. It started like at 6 o'clock or something that evening. I remember being at work and it starting because I stayed late that day. And so it was like 6 o'clock. I was still at my desk, but I'm on a conference call with him. And there was just be 2 other people there, but they couldn't make it at the last minute. They couldn't make it.
So it ended up just being us.
It was just us on the meeting.
Okay.
And we talked a whole like 10 minutes about the media technology part, but we were on the phone for like 6 hours that night. And
6 hours? What?
6 hours.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. And he was just such a conversationalist. And I'm so talkative. Like I'm the kid that was in elementary. Ruth is a pleasure to have in class. And then the second part says is talkative. Like that was so for someone to be a conversationalist for me is always exciting. It's really exciting when someone can keep up and we can switch from topic to topic. And we found out we were very we had a lot in common. You know, we were the oldest of our siblings. Our parents are immigrants, so we're like the first ones here that went to college, that finished school, and so we had so much in common. So the conversation just
stemmed from one thing to
kept
another.
Flowing. Yeah.
It was good.
Awesome. So after that conversation, then you all opted to continue to talk more on a casual basis. After that, is that how it worked? You just continue to kind of build on that?
Right.
Yeah.
On a casual basis.
Yeah, very, very casually. I mean, we were still both very busy. And so there was just, there was a lot going on in our lives personally. Things got a little rough early, I want to say about 2 years ago, where I had a rough patch. Professionally, there was a lot going on in the country. And, the university that I was working for at the time, it had to undergo a massive layoff process.
Okay.
And this was the result of the Muslim ban that happened in 2017. And so working in higher ed, everything is based on enrollment management. And so when the university did not see a replenishment of the enrollment pipeline coming in for the next fiscal school year, that was a $10 million projected loss.
Wow.
And so I had just gotten promoted to a director level position at 27. And it was funny, I had a large staff. I had someone reporting to me who was 72 with a doctorate degree and a couple of other folks in this newly created unit. So I say that to say that things were looking really good. And then, early 2018, lost my job. And so kind of felt like God was mocking me a little bit. Either that or teaching me a lesson. I think he really wanted to humble me because there was a point in time where I was not speaking to him as much. I was just so comfortable and happy with where I was in life and everything was great. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. And so during that time, there was a lot going on in my life. And I feel like I had lost my purpose a bit. And God revealed to me in a vision. I was not sleeping, but at some point around that time, God revealed to me that I need to tell her what I'm going through. But I didn't know how to. And then I think she called me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because the first conversation, he kind of hinted. Well, no, I think you told me. He told me that he had lost his job, and I was like taken aback because we didn't know each other, and I thought that was, pretty much a big deal to tell me something like that. And so when he called me and told me that, I just really need you to help me pray about it, I took that seriously. And even though there was interest there, that shifted my mind to be like, okay, right now, what I need to be is a prayer warrior for him. And so that's what we started to do. We started to pray. And to his point where he felt it was really dark, like he wouldn't, I wouldn't hear from him. I wouldn't hear from him for weeks and months. And like you said, we're very casual. So there's no expectations to be speaking all the time. We weren't speaking all the time. But knowing that he was going through the interviewing process at different universities, he was doing different projects and stuff like that. But I didn't hear from him. And so I would reach out to him, and he's very diplomatic. And so he would try to be very diplomatic in his answers. But I knew that it was tougher than that. It has to be tougher than that for you to tell me, who was a perfect stranger at the time, that's what you were going through. There's something there. And so we continued reaching out. He would be responsive, and we prayed together. And then come June, around his birthday, he revealed how he felt and that he wanted to, see where this could go. Well, not see where this could go. He wanted this to go all the way to marriage. Like he was very,
Oh, wow.
he was very frank, very early. And at that time as well, like he said, I didn't have time for people. It's very true. Like I was very much on my career. I'm in ministry at church. I'm in ministry here. I wasn't interested in doing anything that was going to be temporary. All that stuff was for the birds, was for college, whatever. But I wasn't going to be sitting there wasting my time. And so seeing that he wasn't either, we gave it a shot.
Yeah.
So, Alker, how much did Ruth's willingness to kind of be there for you during that difficult time impact how serious you felt about her, to the point of wanting to, go all the way in terms of a proposal?
There was a huge impact there. I did not tell anyone in my family what I was going through. I think as firstborn in my family, in the household that I come from, I felt a certain kind of disappointment in myself, although I was not at all responsible for what I was going through. It was not a reflection of my work or lack of. It was just a budgetary discussion that led to a massive layoff. Over 100 staff members were let go. Wow. And they usually start with the top level, right? So cut off high level administration first, and then they got to me. But I felt so comfortable to speak to her, my own brother, who's 11 months younger than me, and we've had business endeavors together. I shared it with no one, and so I felt comfortable enough with her, and she reciprocated the same level of comfort. And so through the prayers that we had together, and around that same time, my grandmother passed away. And she was there too. I had to go to Haiti, and she was sending me pictures. I think it was camp season 2.
Yeah, camp meeting.
And I was very excited about being at camp to be with her, and that couldn't happen. And so I was a virtual attendee from overseas. She was sending me daily pictures, and it was good. It was good. It was exactly what I didn't know I needed at the time. And so it was just perfect. It was just perfect.
Sounds like it. That's so sweet, so special, so fun. I love all of it. I love all of it. We're actually going to take a quick break because we want to hear about this proposal and how it happened. Because we love those kind of things. At least I do. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with this beautiful couple. All right, everyone, we're back. Thank you for staying tuned to AEC Today's special report on a COVID wedding story. And we're here talking to this lovely couple. We've heard a little bit about how their relationship developed, and now we want to hear about the proposal. How did this become official? Now, before we talk about that, of course, how long were you dating before this proposal point came?
So I proposed to her exactly at the 1.5 year mark.
Okay.
To the day.
To the day, yes.
Okay. All right. What? And then you did that on purpose? Was that intentional, or was it just a coincidence?
Oh yeah, everything was
He's very
systematically
intentional.
calculated.
He's very intentional on dates. For him, dates are a thing. He likes it to be rounded out, and yeah.
I love it. I love it. Oh, and I wanted to share you guys. You all had an awesome website that kind of tells a little bit about your story, and I understand that the proposal was to kind of recreate your first date together. Is that what I read? Was that your
more or less that was the idea?
Just want to do a shout out. That website, he built it.
Did he really?
Shout out to the hubs, yeah.
See if I can share it so people can see.
Yeah.
That one. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Check it out. And I love that the woman who you guys just randomly ran into, who's giving you guys very
random. It was like we don't know her from anywhere, and she was compelled. Like she was saying, she was apologizing. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't want to intrude, but I just have to tell you this. We felt like it was an angel. We felt that she was divinely placed there to give us that sound advice.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm jumping ahead, and we shouldn't be. Let me stop this because we'll see this after the proposal. But sorry, no, I have.
You can let it rock out.
I do love music. But let's start with the proposal first, and then we'll show them from your site. So what was going through your mind, Alker? I know you already had the date in mind, but you're trying to recreate this first date. What was in your mind leading up to the proposal, the date?
I wish I could tell you everything. I can't remember everything. What I do remember feeling is that I thought I've done my homework, right? I got the ring that she wanted. I was in a good place spiritually. We had been doing quite a bit of personal counseling together, and I just felt, every part of me felt like this was the right thing to do. So I did not feel nervous, to be honest with you. I think I was more so, I just wanted to go through the process and then to have my wife. So to me, it was just like a matter of
to get what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted. I didn't want to rush the process, but I just knew that there's an order to everything, and so you can't jump ahead. You're gonna make a mistake. So let's just go down the checklist and make sure I got everything right. So I kept thinking about the first date that we had. I drove for a very long time. To 5.5 hours.
Wow, that's right. You guys are in different states.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was, and that, of course, traffic played a big part into that. So I kept thinking about that day and what we did. We went for ice cream. We also went to a Wednesday night church service. I mean, it doesn't get more Christian than that.
You got it all.
And I mean, it says a lot to who truly we are. She had wanted to visit this church that was right in her backyard for quite some time. I think you said you've been there before, but it's been a while since you've attended that church. Right. And so after ice cream, we went there. And after church service, we went to this restaurant that was not too far. I don't think you've ever been to that restaurant before.
No, also right behind where I worked.
Yeah.
Everything was nearby, and I just never have time to, I'm like, by myself. I'm like, I'll do it later.
So I did some research on some really nice fine dining experience, and one just popped up right in the backyard of her job. And so I wanted to recreate that day as much as possible. It was just so perfect, and so that's what we tried to do. So we did meet up. It was a beautiful day. It was raining.
It's stormy there,
but it was a beautiful day.
Right.
Fun fact: that same day we were actually looking at the venue that we had secured for our wedding. It may sound bizarre, but yes, we knew exactly where we wanted to get
I was
married.
going to ask that. Okay, wait, you had already discussed that.
Yeah. So I don't think any of our friends knew this, but we had put a down payment on the venue since January, even before I proposed.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Well, one of the things is I was never the girl who dreamed of a wedding. I always thought of my marriage. I always thought of who I wanted my guy to be, but like I wasn't the big dress and the big venue and all that kind of girl. And he knew that. But he loved all that. He wanted the whole thing. And so for me, not that the only thing I would do but I was like, I don't want a venue. I think they're overpriced. I think the food sucks a lot. I think, I just think it's a lot of hoopla that I'm not interested in. And so we found this beautiful, I was telling him that. I've told him that since the beginning, but we found this beautiful mansion in Southern Delaware, where I'm from. It's called the Sunnybray Mansion. And it was a big historic ground. Nice. It housed
10 bedrooms.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It housed like Civil War people that were fleeing from the South or something like that. A lot of history there, and it was beautiful. A lot of land, and I was like, I could do something like that, where we have more control, where we decide what we eat, we decide how we decorate it, all those things. And the hosts there were so kind and accommodating when we called that day, and he was like, "You want to book it?" I was like, "Book it." And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. At that time, we were definitely talking about marriage and stuff like that. So we didn't have the ring and not proposed yet, but we talked about it and we knew what we wanted to do. So
that's great. That's great. So January, you put down the deposit on this place, and then what month was the proposal?
February. A month later.
Okay.
Yeah. So then. February 26th, it was. That was exactly the 1.5 year mark. And so we got engaged on that day. I went down there and I had arranged with the restaurant 2 weeks prior. I was coordinating with them in terms of what I was going to do. I got in touch with someone at the church that we went to on our first date, and I told them, listen, me and Shorty, we're gonna come on this day. I'm gonna need you to get things set up, have a photographer on deck, make sure he's hidden, make sure it looks like a covert operation.
He definitely wasn't covert.
No.
I think he walked in, he was like, "Oh, you Alker? I got you, man." And I'm like, why is this guy who is this guy talking to you? This is like my area. So I'm like, who knows you here in Southern Maryland, into Maryland at the time. He's like, "Oh, you Alker."
I was told I got to take a picture.
Yeah.
And Ruth is right there.
And so to be honest, I did start picking up things, but I was like, I don't want to disappoint myself. All right, no, that was a coincidence. Right. It is our 1.5 year anniversary, so it could have just been, something that he wants to do special. That I was like, I'm not gonna disappoint myself. So,
that's what we did.
I felt like it was kind of slipping a little bit, but I was okay. I actually thought it was funny, I thought it was funny. I was like, this can't go too bad, right? And so he totally screwed that portion up, but I did keep in touch with her sister, was in town, and I was coordinating with her, Katya, shout out to her. And Katya was there coordinating with the restaurant so that we can time everything. I shared my location on Apple Maps so that she knows exactly where we're at.
Okay.
And yay to the restaurant. I had purchased 6 gifts for her. And so
Nice.
we were supposed to be eating, and while we're eating, the restaurant staff carefully arranges 7 boxes actually on the aisle of the restaurant leading towards the entrance or the exit. And so at some point in time, I give them the signal. I'm texting them, and I don't even think she realizes like what's going on.
I was just tired at that point because I worked half a day, and then the rest of the day we're supposed to spend together, and we have to travel back up because I live 2 hours from my old home because I worked somewhere different. So I worked 2 hours from there, and then he lives another 2 hours from there in North Jersey, from North Delaware. So we're eating, and we're done. Like I'm done eating. I don't know why we're sitting here. So I started getting friends. I'm like, can we?
I'm scrolling because like some of the people had not
my dear
arrived
friends,
yet.
Really.
They were things were still, all the gifts were ready to be set up, but we're still waiting on folks. And I wanted to make sure the moment was very special, that it was imperative that certain people were there. And so we waited. Sorry, babe.
You waited. I was sitting there like, I can't eat anymore. I don't want any more to drink.
Let's go already. Yeah.
So at some point, the lights dim, the music comes on, and it was a song in French that we both like by one of my favorite artists. And so the music comes on, and she's singing the song as if like it's in her head. She doesn't realize that it's playing in the restaurant. Yeah. And so she's just enjoying it. And then I grab her hand and I'm like, babe, I'd like you to just stand up with me for a second. And she's like a little confused.
What are you doing?
And so I asked her to stand up, and I tell her that, you know, I love you, right? I don't want another moment without you. And I ask her to turn around, and then she sees the gifts and the balloons carefully arranged about a foot apart from each other.
Roses and stuff.
With the roses, etc. And so the idea was that there's 7 boxes, 6 gifts. The last box was empty because I am the 7th gift.
All right. Like that. All right.
So by the time she gets to the 7th gift, and she's like struggling, trying to figure out like, there's nothing in here.
Because I like the gifts, her wallets and shoes and stuff. I'm like, keep it coming.
All right. Okay. I like this.
All right.
So she turns around just like in confusion, like there's nothing in here, just to find me on bended knee with the ring.
Love it.
Oh,
and it was cool because the ring box had a little light.
A light? Oh, okay. Like a spotlight.
So it really exaggerated the brightness of it. But it was beautiful. Her parents were there. Her best friends were there. It was nice.
Yeah.
So what's going through your mind when you're, opening, or you turn around, you see them on bended knee?
Well, as soon as I turned around and I saw the gifts and the roses and stuff, I knew what was going on. Okay, I just didn't, know what was actually going on. I'm very much a planner in my head, and so not being able to know what the situation was bringing out, like what was really happening in the court, was a little, nerve-wracking for me. But it was beautiful. I started opening gifts, and then my friends and my sisters were there, and they started like shuffling, and so I started hearing people because things were like, move over. No, I gotta record it. And so I just started hearing things, and they're obviously familiar voices. And so I had my old colleague, Dara. And so I saw her, and I was like, Dara? And then everyone was just like, she sees us. And so everyone moved out and started opening the gifts. And I was like, shoes, wallets. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. And so everyone's recording me, and then I see my dad. And mind you, like I said, I moved up I'm from Southern Delaware. I grew up there, went to school there and everything, but I moved to Northern Delaware for work. And so I see my parents like on the weekends, sometimes when I come home for church. But I saw my dad, and I was like, was like, Dad. And that's what my mom. I was like, Mom. And then I knew what was going on, obviously, but I just started getting nervous because I don't like when people are just paying attention to me in situations. Like I can make things about people, or I can make, if we're in something together, like now that we're being interviewed together, I could do this. But if you told me to sit here by myself, I'd say, can I write you? Like, can I just email everything to you? I hate it. And so everything was about me. So I'm like, I need this to be over so quickly, please.
And like all that attention. And everybody's trying to see the ring and all of that.
Yeah, it was so much. And then he turned around and the ring was the exact ring. Shout out to my sisters for going to my Pinterest board and stuff like that. So good job, babe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Alker, after hearing about those 6 gifts, you probably caused a few brothers to have to elevate it a little bit. They're planning.
Listen, it's 2020. Step your game up.
It's not just about the ring anymore. You gotta let it lead into it. I like that.
Lead into it.
I love that. So this is February of this year, right?
Of 2020. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's February, and then March hits. Now, after you guys got engaged, had you already decided pretty quickly on a date, a wedding date?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the venue was booked.
Oh, that's right.
For August 20th, 8/20/2020.
Right. Okay, that's right. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So before we talk about March, we're going to take another quick break, but we want to hear, after being engaged and being excited, we go into March and everywhere we turn around, COVID, everything's shutting down. I want to hear how that impacted the engagement period. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back and hear about that.
All right.
The Bible tells us in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." If there were ever a time that we needed to come together in prayer, it is now. Therefore, our president, Elder Henry Fordham, is calling on you to join us as we band together in prayer. Pray corporately with us every day at 12 p.m., and in addition, 3 times a day. We believe that God will honor the faithfulness of His people as we band together in prayer. Please pray with us and watch God move.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're continuing with this lovely COVID wedding story with Alker and Ruth Antoine, and we were so excited to hear about that wonderful, elaborate proposal, which happened in February of this year. And then, as we said before, then March hit, which meant COVID hit. Now, how did COVID impact the engagement portion of you all's relationship? What were some of the immediate effects?
Immediately, we didn't quite understand it yet. Okay. And so I don't think, I think when it first hit, we were thinking, okay, by the time we get to August, this will be
over. Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
And I think like other outbreaks like Ebola or something, we knew that the world didn't stop. We just were taking extra precautions and people were being more careful, hospitals especially. We didn't think we would be affected at all. And so in the beginning, we were still planning. Like we got our whole, we picked out our bridal party.
Catering was already taken care of.
Catering was taken care of. Our designer who was picked out. Everything was picked out already in March. We made our proposal to our bridesmaids. We picked our matrons, our best men. So we started moving along because we're like, COVID, oh, this is really bad, but we'll just have to take precautions. Everyone will take precautions.
Right.
And then things started shutting down. We went into working from home, working remotely. And so things started turning really serious. And then everything became serious. A month later, in April, my youngest sister, of course, 'cause college is shut down. She came home from school. My other siblings aren't at home, but happened to be visiting that weekend. Two out of, it's a 5 of us. So I live in Northern Delaware. The other ones lived in Maryland. And for some reason, one weekend they decided to come home, except for one. So myself and my brother stayed, in our respective homes. And where my dad worked had a COVID outbreak, and my dad got sick. So this was April. My dad got very, very sick. He was hospitalized.
Wow.
And so this is also the time that now, as a federation, we had to shift because we have our huge retreat that we do.
Right.
So we shift that to virtual. And then as a youth department, Pathfinder is still going on. We had to shift that to virtual, and our church is shifting to virtual. And so that's on my end and on his end. Everything is shifting, and he's from North Jersey. And so they're being hit the hardest, as in New York and
Right.
So they're shutting down. They're shutting down serious. And so wedding was an afterthought. We didn't think about planning at all. We had to shift into ministry mode, shift into, working from home, which was so difficult. Him being in higher ed, students are going home. And so they're like, what's the future of the university? And I'm an analyst in food service. And so restaurants were shutting down. So, I don't have any sales data to analyze because there's no sales being made. So everything came to a halt. Everything came to a halt.
Yeah. In my line of work in particular, I am one of the people responsible for doing large-scale macro analysis on all student data. And so the reports that I generate go directly to the president to inform the senior administration on what we need to do in terms of the livelihood of the institution. And so I couldn't take time out of that in order to invest in the wedding. That just was not a thing. Our relationship was also, it suffered a bit. It suffered a bit because
understandably.
We had to go into ministry first approach and then securing our livelihoods. And so we developed this concept of fiancé time.
Fiancé time.
Fiancé time. I like that. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Right.
So with fiancé time, because our days were so long with work and our churches and our federation work, we said, so throughout the day, we try to weigh out the day, see how it's going, see how it's turning out. And we pick a time and we say, that's fiancé time. Whatever else we're doing, we drop it and we give undivided attention on FaceTime. So thank God for technology. So we would be on FaceTime. If we're having dinner at that time, we'll eat together on FaceTime. And nothing else. There's nothing else we can do. We just made rules for ourselves and boundaries. We're like, unless it's an urgent text, an urgent email, we answer. But anything else that we know that can wait till tomorrow, we'll wait. And we call this fiancé time. And it was such a great idea.
Oh yeah, it was a treat.
Such a great idea. We looked forward to it every day. When like we call each other, if we say 10, like we'd like race to call each other at first. We had a little dance. We're like, it's Beyonce time.
I would like rush home to make sure that I'm laid down in the bed and I'm just looking at her like I'm ready.
And I'm like, you just got there, your jacket's still on. Like, but it was. We tried to be intentional because we saw ourselves, in the first month or two slipping from each other. Just our time being spent together and the way we used to do devotionals together, and we're putting out a background like, hey, we'll do this tonight, babe. We'll do this tonight. We're pushing things around, and then so we're pushing our time around. So we just had to reel it back in because I think what's important is a lot of people, like if we could give this advice, kind of a lot of people, once they get engaged, that fiancé time and that engagement time, it just becomes wedding planning, and you forget that you're planning your marriage. The wedding is a 24-hour celebration, maybe longer, but
then that's it.
That's it. And then you going into this home with this person, you're going to start building a family with this person who, you didn't quite invest in. So we really wanted to make sure that our engagement time was about us building a foundation, us building on the foundation that we built while we were boyfriend and girlfriend. Now that we're engaged, this is even more serious. And so We wanted to make our marriage a beautiful thing. Second, after that, our wedding, a beautiful thing. So.
I love that. And that's great advice. Don't use your whole engagement, just planning the wedding. Continue to build on your relationship. And it's important being intentional. If you can practice that during engagement, that's something that you can carry over into marriage, because life doesn't stop once you get married either. And you're still going to have to be, I'm sure you are finding out, just as intentional, and even have to schedule that time. I don't know if you want to call it fiance time right now,
right.
And hubby time, but
yeah. So I think we're still learning that balance, because working from home, we're just like, oh, we have all the time in the world together. We set up our office where our desks are like in front of each other. We could peek over and see each other, but it's still
work.
Still takes intentionality to spend time. Like, just because we're working, all you hear is the clicking of the keyboard. Like, we're not together, We're in our own worlds. We're taking meetings. It's like, okay, babe, can you turn music down? I'm about to get a conference call. Like, we still have to be intentional about spending time together, even now. So.
Absolutely. So now you all did manage to do somewhat of like an engagement photo shoot, right?
We did.
And here's one. I'm going to show one of the pictures from that, right? Look at that. That's so beautiful. So when were you all able to schedule that in the midst of all of everything going on?
So that was late in the game. Our photo shoot was supposed to happen much earlier.
Right.
So this happened, I want to say
June 7th. June 7th.
Yeah.
Shout out to our photographer, Chill.
Yeah, Chill Creations. He's amazing. I think it was it the first or second
weekend of June. I really want to, for me, I want to give credit to my matrons. My matrons, Kelly, Mildred, and Elena, they came through. Like with COVID being what it was, and my dad getting sick, and then so like everyone got sick in the house, but everyone had to like take care of my dad. He was high risk. He was very sick, and in my mind, although I was having faith that God would heal him, I knew that if God decided not to, then we'd have to take action to what to do with my mom at this point and stuff like that. And so I'm already making plans in my head. Like if something goes wrong, then I have things to do. I have to move back home, So I'm not thinking about us, but our matrons were like, after a while, knowing how much Alker and I are planners, they stepped in a mighty way. Like they came in and they were like, okay, guys, we need to start the ball rolling. Are you guys still going to get married this year? We have to start rolling. And, they pushed me to get the dates, to get our shoot, to start thinking about hair, start thinking of what are you going to do now? Like we can't have the bridal party anymore. What are you going to do? And we ended up changing our date and moved it up a month. We were like, we're not going to do what we wanted to do. It was going to be 350. Our guest list was going to be so big, and we're going to do something. We're going to have so much fun doing that, but we weren't able to. And so we're like, let's get married earlier. What are we waiting for? Who are we waiting for? And so we moved it up a month to July 27th from August 20th. And like I said, I want to shout out my matrons of honor, my sisters, Sophie and Katya, my sister in love now, Trilanta, who they just took everything and were like, guys, we gotta go. And so that's how we, Kuchil and Alker have history from working together. And so Kuchil came through, even with COVID, did an outside photo shoot for us. It was a lot of fun. And that's when the ball started rolling. Like we really planned this in like 2.5 months.
Yeah, I mean, and let me, now I can share the website again. You said, Alker, you put this together?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different pieces to this project. The song, first of all, was a song that I wrote and composed and recorded.
You did?
I did.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah. So that was something that I did a few months prior. I think it was in November. I did it. The original track, it was myself and my best friend, Ashawn. Who also, we had music history together. And so we did the track, and I knew since November of the year prior that I was going to do this. And I wrote that song with intentionality, knowing that I was going to use it somehow, some way. I didn't know in what capacity, but I knew I could use it for something about us. I was going to use it. And so so I shared the idea with Kucho, who is also a musician, and he's the creative type. He's the ultimate creative type. Design, photography, videos. Yeah. And so I shared with him the idea. And so I knew I was going to use him for it, even before I told Ruth. I knew exactly what we were going to do. And so he constructed the shoot and the video to really align with the vision that I had for the track. And so what you're hearing is a very condensed version of it.
Okay.
And so we put it together, and I was so excited.
I had to take it off because I wanted to make sure the audio was playing. Now that I knew you wrote it, I mean, I had that sense to it, but I didn't know it was
really
you. So I was like, let's see if we can hear it now. Let me hit play. Get that fire! So that's you singing.
It is, yes.
Go ahead, Alker.
It was so much fun.
Look at that. The power shot. I love these. All these photos are great.
Thank you. You did a great job. Chose did an amazing job.
Yeah, and so here's the date there. The whole website was really nice. Very well done. Celebrating. Now, you mentioned that you guys moved the date up. So it was supposed to be August. So at what point did you let go of the venue? Did you do the venue?
Yeah, so we let go of it maybe a month. We officially let go of it, I think maybe a month before we got married. Because we were still just kind of holding on just in case. We really
it sounded so ideal, I have to say, the way you described it. It did sound.
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. It was a couple of acres of land on one side, and like it really had. Anyway.
There's always a future. There's always an anniversary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So we had that. We had that in our arsenal still, and because of all the things that were happening, it was one of the few venues that did not necessarily give us a hard time. They didn't say, hey, because of this or that. Yeah. It was more like along the lines of, if you don't feel comfortable doing it. So at that point, we knew that we had a difficult decision to make, but it was a necessary one. And so we were able to get our money back from the venue eventually. And we decided to look elsewhere. And a church opened up for us. And so we started planning around there. I had this whole media and technology initiative that I wanted to execute. I wanted 3 cameras set up with the whole 9 so that you wouldn't miss anything. We had multiple angles aligned. The internet speed was great. And then I think less than 2 weeks before the wedding, we got notice that we could no longer use that space. And so at that point, we were a bit disappointed, but God definitely worked it out. Yeah. Our matron, one of our matrons, Mildred, discovered a place literally in Ruth's hometown that she never knew of this place. And God opened that opportunity up for us. Now, unfortunately, with such little time left, we were not able to execute things the way in which we would have wanted to. At least I wasn't on the media side. the internet speed was not as great, and so that diminished the quality of the stream we were able to broadcast. And so we had to compromise on that in order to make it work. Yeah. And so we ended up using StreamYard, and we brought multiple cameras into StreamYard because it actually is one of the few platforms that works well on low bandwidth internet. And so that worked well for us. And we created a small private YouTube group, and we just invited all of our family, friends, and people that we care about, colleagues, etc. I think we brought you into it as well. Yeah, so it was very intimate. It was only people that we really like people that were dope to us. Yeah, that's you. And so it was a very controlled group. And we also created a YouTube account for those that probably wouldn't fit in this intimate setting, but like for our colleagues at work. And so we were able to simultaneously stream to that private Facebook group as well as the unlisted YouTube channel. Yeah. And we had pretty much all of the attendees that were supposed to be there physically were able to virtually attend, and then some.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it worked out.
It worked out
so well. Absolutely.
Great. So I know, we talked about a little bit of the disappointment of having to let go of this beautiful venue, and then not able to have everyone physically there. Yeah. How did you guys work through that? How did you manage to put things in perspective and say, let's make the most of this?
Oof, it was hard. It was really hard because the people, I don't come from a big family as in, blood. We came from Haiti, where there's not a lot of people in our area who we're not related to anyone, actually. It's just my siblings and my parents. But I grew up in Ebenezer, my church in Seaford, Delaware, my whole life. And so those people are my family. I have friends, my matrons, they're like sisters to me. They are sisters to me. I call them sisters. Our designer, Gina, we call each other Sissy Poo. And so it was really hard. That's why our list was so big because, and Alker as well, going to Salem all his life. Those people are our family. And so it was really hard letting go of the list, but we definitely, it became easier for us after my father got sick. His grandmother is of a certain age. His best men, two of them have underlying conditions. Even as young men, they have underlying conditions. So for us and Gina, my sister Gina, she has an underlying condition as well. So for us, it was easy. It was like, you know what? This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. These people who are so close to us, who are our core, are at risk. And so we cannot afford to put anyone at risk. We will not put anyone at risk. And we made that decision like that. And so it was people who were our matrons, our best men, his family, who's pretty big, his immediate family, and mine is also, we're 7 deep, he's 7, plus his little nephew Cases. So there's 8 of them there, plus grandma was 9. So we were like, we have to stick to 50 people. Let's put 50 people. And it was hard. It was really hard. I had the youth from my church who I adore, and they're always supporting me. They volunteered to help as like servers and things like that. So we didn't even have to get extra people. They weren't originally on the 50 list, but they were just like, we really want to be there. Ms. Ruth, how can we help? And they poured in that day and helped. They were all in all black. They were the ones manning the cameras. Yeah. They were the ones doing sounds and stuff like that. And so that's how we chose. And people understood. So with the photo shoot, we made magnets. It wasn't save the day, but it was more of an announcement. That's what we did. And we made sure we sent it out to everybody who we knew we were going to invite, who we know won't make it, especially our church people. So they could feel like, everyone understands the season we're in right now with the coronavirus. And we want to take all the precautions to keep people safe. And so we thank you for your prayers, for your for everything that you've been to us in our lives. Right. And there's a magnet to stick on your fridge with our faces on it. So.
That's beautiful. I love it. And here we are. Not 2 months, hasn't been 2 months yet, but in a few weeks it'll be 2 months post-wedding.
Actually, Sunday will make it 2 months.
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Wow. How does it feel? Has the first 2 months flown by? Does it seem natural? Like,
Some days it feels like it flies by. Other days it feels like we've been married for a long time.
like an old married couple already?
It took a while for, when I say a while, meaning like a few weeks, to really believe that this was not a dream.
Yeah.
I kept telling myself, if this is a dream, I don't want to wake up.
All right now.
This is wonderful. So yeah, to be able to be here, you know, God has definitely blessed us. We're in this beautiful home. It's a newly created apartment complex, and God definitely just opened up so many opportunities for us. We're still able to do our ministry, our various ministries together. The only thing that is challenging still is she's still a member of her church. I'm a member of my church, and so right now we're running two. She's on the media side for her church. I'm on the media side for my church, and so
Wow.
we currently are not worshiping together the way in which we'd like.
Yeah.
But it feels good just to know that we're coexisting, and we do enjoy our Sabbath afternoons together.
Yeah.
It feels amazing to welcome into Sabbath with my wife. You know,
Amen.
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But I love it. Absolutely,
too.
absolutely love
Me
it.
too. I love it. I think it's great. It's been a great month and a half, if we
Yeah.
can say. It's been great. Like, a lot of people ask, like, yeah, what is it? It's like, I feel like I'm just hanging out with my friend all the time. Like,
Yeah.
we're just two
Yeah.
pals.
Ooh.
We're just two pals hanging out all the time. So
And I hope that
great.
doesn't change, because we truly do feel like we're friends, and this is dope. It's more than friends. Like it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It doesn't have to. I mean, you know, if you keep up with that, you know, hubby wifey time, it
Yeah.
could be successful.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go, because this has been great. I mean, I love the story of ministries kind of bringing you guys together, and you all being able to navigate the challenges that came with the relationship, and even navigating a COVID wedding and having to make some adjustments there. We have a lot of couples out there who are, you know, maybe at the each one of those stages that we talked about in your relationship. What's some advice that you can give, particularly to our couples in the church, about how to stay connected spiritually, you know, because you guys were both dedicated to ministry, so much so that you weren't even really particularly looking for a relationship, somehow found you. What would you say to other young couples who are out there kind of looking for someone, or who are currently in a relationship? What's some quick advice you can give to them?
I think the answer is partially in your question. You know, I, at a very early point in my young adulthood life, I realized that being involved in ministry keeps me out of trouble. It really does. It allowed me to find a bigger purpose than self-satisfaction, and I truly found it satisfying to be able to make myself available to help others and to further God's plan. And so, very young in my teenage years, I was appointed to serve at my church. But even if that wasn't the case, I think for whether you're in ministry or not, it is just so fulfilling to be able to do for others and not expect anything back. But God He always had my back. He always, whether it be an initiative where the church needed to raise some money to be able to help a deserving family or whatever it is, God always reciprocated that investment and then some. And I think naturally so, that kind of pattern definitely led to us working together in ministry at the level of the Haitian Youth Federation. And so I think that just doing more for others and not for yourself, definitely, like I said before, I found great satisfaction and purpose in that. And God led us together. And so if it could happen for us, it could happen for you too.
I'd love to talk to single girls right now that
Go ahead, tell them.
Okay, I've been that single girl. I got married at 30. That was another thing this year. We both turned 30. Didn't get to, we were supposed to be on a beach somewhere in some other country, and that didn't happen either with COVID. But I'm that single girl whose family members are like, are you not gonna get a man? Like, is it because you're too tough? You may just be too loud. You may just be too outspoken, and all these reasons why, you know, you're a perpetual single girl. And part of my vows came from a prayer journal that I had in 2014. And in that prayer journal, I prayed for a spouse. I told God that I wanted to wait for this spouse. And as I waited for this spouse, God, I asked him to make me the spouse that someone would want in their lives as well. And so for a lot of single girls, some people can be very mean and very rude when you've been single for so long, especially if you're in the church, because there's something wrong with you if you're not married yet. You're the problem, and it's like, no, it's not. God has a purpose for my life. God has a plan for my life, and his plan is better than mine. And so, like, what I would say to single girls is, don't waste your time with people who you clearly know isn't from God. Ask God for the discernment to know off the bat and from first look if this person is for you or if it's not. And to marry what Alker was saying, lose yourself in ministry for Christ, lose yourself in doing things, community service, lose yourself in your career and bettering yourself. Get your degree, get certificates, get a trade, whatever you're doing, get your business up, do that. And all those things, though, when it knocks on your door, it'll be a surprise. Like, oh, this is at my door now. But you would have built yourself up, and you would have done things for you, and you would have done things that made you happy. That this person just compliments you. This person just comes in and aligns with you because of Christ, and nothing that he gives is less than perfection. And so, to the single girl out there who's maybe dated guys who she thought she was going to be with forever, it's okay. You know, who've fallen into different kinds of sin, it's okay. We have a redeemer. We have someone who restores. And so it's all right to just get yourself back into that relationship with Christ. Seek him with a burning desire. Lose yourself in ministry. To a lot of us single girls also, in our careers, statistically, we're not in church. We're not members of churches because we're so busy being that career girl, being the girl who's doing all these things. Give yourself in service to God. And, you know, if it's his desire for you to be married, you will. And I don't regret it one bit. And one of the themes that we tried to say in our relationship from the beginning, you know, when things got hard and when we get tempted with different kinds of sins, there's so much beauty on the other side of obedience. And so on the other side of doing what God tells you to do, there's obedience because he's sovereign and he knows why he's telling us. He's not telling us because it's, you know, something he doesn't want us to do because it's so good. No, it's a guardrail when he gives us those instructions. And so on the other side of obedience is so much beauty. And
I like that.
We've discovered that. We're testimonies of the other side of obedience and, you know, just trying to live for Christ. And so.
And to the young single men too, on that same token, a lot of young men are like, man, I can't find a good girl no more. Bro, you're looking in the wrong place. You're doing the wrong things. you're in the wrong places. But don't, and I caution this, don't get involved in ministry to find a spouse.
Right. That's what we're saying.
That may or may not
you find those people a mile away. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go join Pathfinder. So
yeah, it may not work for you in that way. It may or may not work that way. But I think what I want people to pay attention to is that, as Ruth indicated, when you when you lose yourself in Christ and you do for him, he will do for you. And so it may happen in that ministry, in that endeavor. It may not, but at the end of the day, a lot of people sometimes feel that there's this void, this empty space, and they need to fill it up with so many superficial things and a lot of mundane, worldly things. And then they expect to somehow find a spouse just by doing these mundane things. And that's, what have you done for God lately? What have you done for others lately? And once you start to live in a faith-based, once you start taking a faith-based approach in life, God will definitely show you what that fruit of labor will look like. And so definitely feel like he's had our back.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I love it. That was great. Great inspiration, great advice. And I hope everyone listening, particularly our young people and those who are searching for a spouse right now, I think you laid out a perfect remedy. And that's encouraging. I love your story. I love you guys. I'm so happy that you decided to share this beautiful story with all of us. Of course, we're wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Forward. And God bless your union.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, guys. We hope you've enjoyed this wonderful story from this lovely couple. We'll be right back after this break.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
All right, guys, I hope you fell in love with the Antoine couple as much as I did. We're so excited for them in their union. We're happy about how they came together and how God is just interwoven in and through all of their whole experience. And we celebrate the fact that even during COVID, happiness and love prevailed. And of course, we want to make sure if you're out there with another beautiful story that we can share with our constituents, please let me know. We're always looking for a good story to share with everyone. We hope that you'll continue to tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. for more about what's happening in your conference. Remember, the more you watch, the more you know. And don't forget to check out all the things that are happening this weekend and beyond right after this episode. Take care. We'll see you next time.